Overallin', 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 where we all wear overalls. Hey, Power Block viewers, I'm Nate Altfeather coming to you from Madison, Wisconsin. And this is a brand new show on Power Block called Overallin', where we all wear overalls. The problem with most automotive shows today is that they all take place in these spectacularly gorgeous facilities with all the state-of-the-art tools. Everything is so clean and their cars are brand new. I know that the average automotive enthusiast like you doesn't have access to that type of equipment. Most likely, you're working outside in conditions like this, in a garage like this, in a pair of overalls. Let's head in to the overall and garage. Did I mention this is a brand new show? Today, we're going to be installing TransGo's performance shift kit for the Turbo 350 into this Pontiac Ventura, a great example of GM's classic X-Body. But first, since we don't have one of those spectacular state-of-the-art facilities, we have to turn up the heat. And for that, we have a ProTemp 45,000 BTU kerosene heater. Now remember, if you use a garage heater like this, they can produce carbon monoxide, so be sure to crack your garage door. Remember, first, disconnect your battery, and then disconnect your tranny's kickdown cable from your throttle linkage. Before you crawl under your car, be sure you have it jacked up and secured properly. The first thing that we have to do is move this tranny cross member back, because the way it sits right now in the X-Body and the Turbo 350 transmission, it prohibits you from reaching the back bolts on the transmission oil pan. Now that we have the back end of the tail shaft of the tranny properly supported with my jack, you can move the tranny support member out of the way just enough to expose these bolts on the tranny oil pan. This is the kind of thing you run into when you don't have one of those fancy shops with the big fancy hoist. My spinner wrench, my spinner ratchet is the exact length, and so I can't back the bolts off the oil pan completely without running into the cement. So we have the choice of redoing all four support jacks around the car, or doing it the old-fashioned way by hand with a regular ratchet. We'll do that. So here's the inside of the transmission after we've taken off the oil pan. This square thing you see right here is the oil filter, transmission oil filter. This will have to come off first. And then this contraption that you see underneath here with all these tubes is the valve body, and that's where the main part of the control mechanisms for the transmission exist. There's a bunch of valves and springs, and the purpose of the shift kit is to replace a lot of those springs and valves to allow much firmer shifts and to have the shifts take place without so much heat buildup in the torque converter and the rest of the transmission. Last one. Here's another disadvantage of not having a great facility. Our hand cleaner froze. Now we have to thaw it. So we have the valve body taken out of the transmission. Essentially what the shift kit does is replace these springs that we take out from the valve body with a different stiffness and with different spring rates. Springs that come with the shift kit. So we're taking these parts out and we're going to replace these springs with the desired springs. There's about half a dozen or so places we have to do this in the valve body, and then we have to put it all back together. So I just got done reattaching the valve body, reattaching the shift linkage, the kickdown lever, and the filter. Now it's time to put the oil pan cover back on, finally. Because this overaller is getting overtired. All right, Power Block fans, we're out of time for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode on how to install a shift kit into your tranny. It's just one more great example of a project that doesn't require a fancy facility. You can do it right at home in your own garage. Join me, your overall wearing host, Nate Altfeather, next week on Overallin'.
Overallin', 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 where we all wear overalls. I don't have a hoist, I don't have an air compressor, I don't have a fancy shopper.